Hey, man, welcome to Dukes and Bell Behind the Curtains. It's our pre-show where we give you a little look at how we make the donuts on Atlanta's #1 sports talk show. That's Damian Day Lewis, the brains of the operation. That's Abe Gordon. He is filling in for Carl today, who's on vacay. I'm Mike Bell, not trying intentionally to look like a jabroni or Pat McAfee. It's just we're trying to crunch things and get it done before we head to Athens today. Big show. We're going to be back at the Grindhouse. Thanks to everybody at Grindhouse in Athens. Always a blast. So we'll be upstairs, man. So join the party. Amongst other people, Bryant McFadden's going to join us. Our weekly visit with him, talk NFL. His Steelers took it in the shorts last night in the icy hot bowl. As Joe Flacco shows, he still got some magic. We'll talk about that in a second. Also, Rusty Manziel, he'll give us his take on what could be another tricky game for Georgia if they start slow against a pretty good offense with Ole Miss. We spent some time on that yesterday. Rusty will be in for a couple of segments, and we'll get live Barbara Dooley. And she says that one of her sons could be stopping by. Could it be Derek Dooley? Anyway, we'll be at the Grindhouse with all that stuff 2 to 6. To start the show, we just got the news yesterday at the end of our program. George Kittle says he's telling anybody who listens, Abe and Da-Da, he's going to play. So the only guy that'll stop him from playing would be the boss, Kyle Shanahan. So I guess it comes down to our two best players. That'd be Bijan and Drake versus their two best players, Christian McCaffrey and Kittle. If he goes, Abe, who wins?
Well, I think the Falcons win in that situation. I mean, you got a guy in Kittle that hasn't played since the early stages of this season, just coming back, first game back. He's not going to be prime George Kittle. He's not going to be on top of it, George Kittle. There's a lot of questions about what he even can be coming off that hamstring injury one game in. And I think there's no secret I'll take Bijan Robinson over Christian McCaffrey at this point. So if it's just a game of 2v2 good old street ball, give me my guys.
Da-Da?
Hey, man, listen, I like our guys, too. I'm with Abe on that. I will say, though, you guys touched on this yesterday. I think it's going to be important that the Falcons don't rely just on our best two players. We really do got to figure out who's going to be the one to step up and be that X factor. Obviously, they know that Kyle Pitts would likely be that next go-to guy. We still don't know what the heck is going on with Ray-Ray McCloud in that situation. Does Casey Washington have an emergence, this week? But to answer your question straight up, 2v2, yeah, give me our guys.
Yeah, I heard Steakhouse today talking about it, and Sanders like, hey, it's a thing. Wide receiver 2 is a thing. Mooney's not healthy. Casey Washington, we want to believe in. He had a big opportunity to make a play. He made the plays in the blocking game to get things cooking. But, when the quarterback hits you in stride, 40 yards, you got to catch that, man. You got to hit that home run ball. So now everyone's really confused. What is going on? Carl and I, we didn't really get a follow-up question because we were not in person. We were on the phone with Coach on Wednesday. He kind of glossed over it. So what the hell is up with Ray-Ray McCloud?
There's no answer. And that's what's so confusing about it. And I agree with you, Mike. I feel like it should be simple to address directly if it was easily explainable, right? Mm-hmm. We talked about this yesterday. If it was a personnel decision, that's such a cut and dried answer that we wanted to do this and that's why this. The fact that we're not getting a direct line, the fact that we can't look them in the eyes and being told something certainly raises the eyebrows. Wasn't at practice yesterday. Didn't have an injury designation. It was a decision.
Other.
And so
Yeah,
it's still.
It says not injury related other. Sorry to cut you off, Abe. That's what
no, but it doesn't seem like whatever's going on has been passed. It seems like they're still in the middle of it. So very confusing, but also, Mike, Day-Day, it is a little bit troubling because it's not that tough for me to imagine someone getting a handle on Bijan, someone getting a handle on Drake. And if we don't have someone else to step up, you are going to lose that game. And so, yes, it's up to Kyle Pitts. He needs help, though, too. And whether it's Washington, it should be Ray-Ray McCloud right now. It doesn't seem that it is.
Yeah, Day-Day, we talked about it at length yesterday and with Carl earlier in the week. Abe's in for Carl today on Dukes and Bell, live from the Grindhouse in Athens. It's our pre-show. And we were just talking about, they have a good defensive coordinator, Robert Saleh. Might not have worked out who is going to work out with the Jets, right? But he's a good defensive coordinator. Come up with a plan to maybe limit some of the things that Bijan's trying to do. And then again, if you counterpunch, remember, I thought in the Carolina game, part of the troubles we had with Penix is that Zach Robinson, I thought, hit the chicken switch. In other words, quit on the run game a little too early. So we've got to maintain the run game. That is our bread and butter. And if it's not Bijan, then let's get Algier. Let's pound it with Algier a little bit and get some balance between the two. But then you're right. If they try to bracket Drake, they'll come up with something despite the fact they've got like literally half of their team on the injury list. Our team, by the way, it's Jalen Walker dealing with a groin. Not sure if it's the same type of groin injury he had earlier in the preseason. Billy Bowman's dealing with a hamstring. He got hurt Friday. Ray-Ray, as we said, not injury related. And Jake Matthews with the ankle, which means it's Michael Jarrell. And is that something they'll try to exploit? Mooney is limited with a hamstring. Felipe Franks with his calf. Everybody else seems to be okay. Leonard Floyd, I'm looking at it right now with an illness. This is from yesterday. It'll get updated later today during our show. But guys, it's still a West Coast trip. It's still a tough environment on a Sunday night against a team which, despite all the injuries and things it's got to overcome, has Super Bowl aspirations of its own.
Yeah, and I feel like, honestly, I think, as much as we were talking about the offense and who else needs to emerge, I think this is an important game defensively, too, for the 49ers. You almost got to kind of mirror what you were able to do last week against the Buffalo Bills and have another week of a good performance in containing. Because, look, Abe, you noted this yesterday. Mac Jones has been playing very well for them. Over 1,200 yards, 6 touchdowns, 3 interceptions through 4 games played. And 2 of those 4 games, he's thrown for over 300 yards. So he may not be, as shifty with the feet as Brock Purdy can be, but he can still beat you over the top. And so defensively, this is going to have to be a very disciplined Falcons defense this week. And I think personally, I think this may be an even bigger test than what they faced last week in the Bills.
I agree on all those points. We'll talk more about it today, guys. See what Rusty Mansell says about the Falcons, in addition to talking about Georgia. Before we get to the Dawgs and Ole Miss, also a very scary game for Georgia Tech. A good offense from Duke. We'll get into that in a minute. How about last night? How about, as they said, the icy hot bowl? Because you got 2 guys, ice it up, son, between Aaron Rodgers, who looks funny in that helmet, and also I thought Joe Flacco was just money. And I love they asked Flacco last night. Scott Van Pelt was asking him, well, what's going on? How is the playbook? That's pretty simple. Just give it to T. Higgins or Jamar Chase. 23 targets for Jamar Chase. And where was the Steelers pass rush?
Jamar Chase, baby.
Hey, if you had been fantasy, baby, you went to work in a limo today. Abe, where was T.J. Watt last night?
Yeah, I mean, look, it's one of those things where, and I kind of tried to tell you guys yesterday, like I wasn't going to be surprised if Joe Flacco looked like a completely different quarterback and it was a completely different offense than what we saw last week when he only had a couple days in there. He was in line with his receivers and knew what he was doing, and he got rid of the ball quick. And I think the Bengals, I mean, this is the thing, right? Like, this is why they make this move while other teams don't. They still have aspirations. Like, they still feel like they have a team that's good enough to make the playoffs. And when you have those 2 receivers, understandably so, but the offensive line is not nothing. I do think it stood out. I don't know. I thought it was a very impressive overall performance from Cincinnati. I thought they managed the game well. They actually had a decent run-pass balance as well. Chase Brown went over 100 yards. It just looks like they're going to be able to stem the tide, and hopefully if they get Joe Burrow back healthy by the end of this thing, maybe they are one of those teams. The AFC is winnable, guys. Like, I just don't buy the teams at the top. This is a bad loss for Pittsburgh, though. It's a little reality check, too, for the Steelers fans who had the season get off to a hot start. Like, all right, calm down. I will say this, Mike. I was impressed by that last throw by Aaron Rodgers. He really hawked that thing down
70 yards, right?
I didn't know it was 69-point-something yards in the air. I didn't know if he still has the Hail Mary magic. He got batted down. I get that. But even to get the throw down there, I was impressed.
Yeah.
I thought last night was just, it was just fun to watch. I mean, I got no skin in the game. I didn't touch the game. It was Steelers -4.5 on the road.
Carl actually took that one. I don't know if he told you. He told me in my ear before he left. He took that one.
He took Pittsburgh.
He took the Bengals.
Yeah. Oh, he took Cincinnati.
He took Cincinnati.
All right. Well, he's hot now. That's 4 in a row. Carl moves to 4-0 in his last 4 picks. So he is definitely on the way up. I'm going the other way. We'll get our pick segment later today, and Abe will throw in his hat in the ring as well. I do have one galactic lock because I got a team in college that is 6-0 against the spread. Stay tuned. But yeah, man, nice. I just thought if you're the Steelers, every time they shot to Aaron Rodgers, he's shooting a dirty look over to Arthur Smith. We're used to that, but it just seems like they don't pass the eye test for me. The Steelers. I don't know who's coming out of the AFC this year. The Ravens been knocked out of the box. We just saw Buffalo is eminently beatable because I don't think Joe Brady is all he's cracked up to be with that offense. Ravens, we know what they're dealing with. But Cincinnati, if Flacco can get them up to 500 or better by the time Burrow comes back, it'll be kind of like, if they go all the way, Abe, it'll be like Earl Morrall and Bob Greasy, because they still have the weapons. And they did it last night without Trey Hendrickson.
Yeah. And here's the thing, all jokes aside, everybody was kind of, trying to say whether it was a big deal or not about what Mike Tomlin said. He faced this man. He faced Joe Flacco. He knows what this man is capable of. So, yeah, why are you going to trade a man to a team that could potentially keep their playoff aspirations alive? Mind you, while we're, and maybe the Browns, they don't care, I guess. It didn't matter to them. But still, why keep him in the division? This is why, when you look at it in hindsight, this is what Tomlin was talking about. Like, you're keeping the guy in a division that, everyone is still kind of trying to figure their way out to figure out who's going to win this thing. Obviously, Pittsburgh was the clear favorite. They had one going into that one with 3 in a row. That that got snapped last night, but you kind of get where Tomlin was coming from.
Tomlin's a crybaby. I don't want to hear that crap out of him.
Abe, you would not like it if a guy that could potentially.
It's a 1-year deal. It's not the future. I don't care. My season's already down the drain. If you're Cleveland, none of it matters. Why am I worried about some other opponent?
If you're Cleveland, but if you're the Steelers, a team trying to win,
it's not his team.
It's
not his personnel. Who is he to speak on other teams being traded and other players? It doesn't involve him.
Dude, if Kirk Cousins was going to start this year for our team, for the Falcons, and we decided last minute, let's pivot, let's give Penix a go, let's trade Kirk Cousins to the Saints.
Right.
You're going to be happy with that?
It's not about last minute. It's about us already being out of it.
But
Cleveland trades Joe Flacco knowing the season is down the drain.
This is like the
season's gone.
Just like the McLaughlin group.
Stop,
both of you. Stop. Jack Tremont, Cokie Roberts. You're both wrong. No, I'm kidding. Actually, I'm kind of leaning towards Day-Day. Tomlin, it's a free country. He can say what he wants. It was a little surprising to see them trade, but to Abe's point, they are
Cleveland can do what he wants, to your point of it being a free country, right?
They're not going anywhere, and they could get, which they sent a 6, they got a 5th, or vice versa. Either way, we'll continue this spirited debate on the program as Abe has hot takes when it comes to Mike Tomlin. Wow, I didn't see that one coming. Hey man, Georgia Bulldogs taking on Ole Miss. One thing for sure, Georgia gets off to a slow start against Ole Miss, an athletic quarterback who's getting more and more confidence each week. Lane Kiffin, who already beat Georgia, arguably the biggest win for Lane Kiffin as a head coach, ranked Georgia at Ole Miss in the rain at Oxford last year. But they put a bunch of those stud linebackers into the NFL draft. So that part of the defense is gone. But yet, both Georgia and Ole Miss, and guys, feel free to jump in, neither one gets the quarterback on the ground. Both teams have less than 10 sacks on the season. Both teams give up a bunch of yards in the passing game. So where do you see this one shaking out? And is Georgia going to fix the slow start problem?
I think they have to, right? I mean, you pretty much directly said it yesterday, Mike, and I 100% agreed with you when we were on the phone with Mike Griffith. If it's 17-0, I don't think Georgia's winning that game. And I'll say this, I don't think it has to be 17-0 for Georgia to not be able to mount the comeback against Ole Miss. I think that's with, I guess, respect to Hugh Freeze, maybe not disrespect to Hugh Freeze. Like, it's a better coach team, Ole Miss is, than Auburn. I just don't think you're coming back against Lane Kiffin in the same way you're able to come back against Hugh Freeze. And so you can't count on this. We'll get to halftime and whatever the score is, we'll adjust and we'll hold a team scoreless, right? Like, yeah, we'll credit you against Auburn for finding a way. Like, that's the exact same game plan that cost you against Alabama. Like, you made your adjustments. You played outstanding defensively in the second half. It still wasn't enough. And so I just don't think you want to continually put your season on the ropes, counting on second half comebacks and how big of a deficit can we overcome. It would be nice. I know not every team's Kentucky. It'd be nice to go into half with a multiple possession advantage and kind of ride it out from there. Even if you can be in touch, though. But you can't be 2 possessions, 3 possessions away. They have got to figure this out.
Right. Yeah. And it's just something that Glenn Schumann, again, how aggressive is he going to be going after the QB, right?
Yeah. Well, and guys, I know you guys got to hit the road to get to Athens, so I'll make it real quick. The only thing that does give me hope with Georgia and the slow starts is to, Abe, you just touched on it, the fact that defensively they have been able to buckle down in second halves. But to your point, how much are you giving Ole Miss in terms of a lead if they do get out to a lead? Is it going to be too much to overcome? Because, like you said, that was the case with Alabama. Yeah, you shut things down. You played better defensively in the second half, but offensively, you weren't able to produce enough to overtake the Tide.
By the way, this is the second road game in the SEC for Ole Miss. It was a tight game against Kentucky. And, of course, Washington State, the coaching staff already admitted, yes, we had installs for Georgia the week of Washington State. We're not going to lie to you. Trinidad Chambliss, how does he handle Athens? Crowd's going to be color coordinated, right? Is that true, Abe? Yeah. So we'll see how the fans respond. Nothing like wearing black in the hot sun, but we'll talk more about that. And, of course, Georgia Tech, this Duke offense. Some guys looking down their nose. Look, Duke got off to a slow start, got boat raced by Illinois, but this is on the road at noon, much like Wake. It's a trap. But how does certainly Brent Key and Haynes King battle into the Georgia Tech defense, which has been, I wouldn't say inconsistent, but it's not an elite defense by any stretch, but they're going to go up against a real strong passing defense. Real quick comments on Tech and Duke.
Yeah, I think to your point, Mike, Georgia Tech's defense is going to really have to have probably their best game of the year in this one. It was no surprise to me that Duke was favored because, again, outside of that Illinois matchup, Duke has been playing some really good football this year.
All right, Abe, we'll save your thought for Athens. Get on the road. All right, and by the way, if you're in the left lane, that is, the designated Peach Pass lane. They've created an Autobahn through portions of DeKalb into Gwinnett. Don't be going the same speed as the traffic. Let's hit it. We'll see you at Athens at the Grindhouse, 2 to 6, with Barbara Dooley, with Rusty Menzel, BMAC as well. Have a great weekend, guys. Peace.